First thing is we're going to ask our speakers to introduce themselves. So we're going to start with Nick, and we're going to go straight down. So if you could just tell us your name, the company you work with, and maybe one or two interesting facts that you never thought you'd tell a room of 150 people.
Oh, wow.
Hello, I'm Lauran Sachar. I'm from Eko. I'm the People Operations Manager there. I've been at Eko for about 2 years now, and we recently changed our name to Eko. We were Interlude before that. So we are a media technology company, just headquartered a couple blocks away from here. And we create interactive video content, and we're building out a content distribution platform for that. So that's what we're about. And I've been there, as I said, for 2 years. I'm the only person doing the day-to-day of people operations stuff. So that means all the recruiting, all the HR, full spectrum of the business, from creative, developers, product, to business, accounting, pretty much everything. And an interesting fact, I don't collect anything special. But I think I used to collect stamps. You're putting me on the spot. My favorite dog breed is a poodle.
That works. So let's see from the long list of questions. So the questions that we sent you, I threw them out and I created new ones just to warn you. So I guess the first one would be, if we think about the room tonight and the candidate flow that we're seeing today at Crowded and there's some different definitions. So we're going to start there. So we would label the majority of the developers in the room, and what we see is really junior to intermediate developers. So I'm going to ask from Nick, and we're going to go straight the way down, just real quick, one sentence or so. What would you consider to be a junior developer as far as the number of years of experience, or if there's another metric for just the term junior developer? Because I think as an industry, we're having some issues with the label, and it's affecting the way that candidates sometimes are applying for jobs.
For us, it's probably more like 0 to 3, but again, it's hard to quantify like that because someone with 0 years of experience who was trained at a boot camp might be coming in real time at a different level of experience from someone who has actually years of experience, but is coming from an engineering program, a computer engineering or computer science program from a university. So even though their actual years of experience are both 0, one of the university graduate with the CS degree might be more of a mid-level in practice for our team. So I think it depends often on the coding background.
So I'd love to hear, Lauran, maybe your opinion on dev boot camps, just real quick. So we want to get through a whole bunch of topics. Do you consider that as a positive or a negative versus someone who went with a more formal computer science degree?
I love the idea of them. For our specific needs, it's often been pretty difficult for us to hire someone fresh out of a boot camp, given the nature of our technology, and that we need our developers to also have an aesthetic side as well, and to have video experience. So I'd love to be able to take or consider more people from boot camps, but I think the nature of what the day-to-day of our developers do requires, typically requires significant years of experience.
So real quick, love to hear a story of someone that you hired that you felt really comfortable with, that in the first 90 days or 120 days, you or the team realized just wasn't going to work out, and maybe it was what was a disconnect, as an example, like a reason that something didn't work out that felt great on the intake.
So one thing that this reminds me of is we had someone, relatively senior person, join the team for a role we were in desperate need of filling. And during the interview process, we had vetted this person's technical ability, and that had checked out totally fine. And then it kind of came to light a little bit later that we may have glazed over some of the more interpersonal skills, and how to be a good coworker and stuff. So minor details. So eventually that came to light, and unfortunately that employment relationship ended. But it was a good lesson in terms of, even if you're from the employer side, even if you're really in a crunch for a particular hire, and if a team is really feeling the extra burden, not to compromise on quality of overall contributor just because they bring the actual skills to the table that you might need. And you need to think about people and candidates holistically. Let's see, mixing it up a little bit. So one of the things that I'm fascinated by, and again, I've been hiring teams and individual developers for 20-something years, and what's fascinating to me is that how quickly everything changes. And I don't want to age myself and tell you the first language that I learned and things like that. But what I found fascinating is that within a matter of 18 months to 2 years, the world changes. So a candidate that maybe applied to your company 18 months or 2 years ago didn't fit. Maybe you were looking for a different framework, or there's a different skill set. So how do you suggest like a candidate who walked out of the interview process and it felt pretty well, but you gave feedback and said you're missing this skill or that skill, and if they felt that over the next year they learned it or worked somewhere else, how should they approach you? Do they just reapply, or do they try to contact the hiring manager or who the recruiter was? Because I'm fascinated about how do you re-engage with candidates that just missed the mark a year ago. So you're saying how should a candidate who's taken the time to learn this extra skill re-engage? Okay. It would be, if they had already come in for an interview and we've established some sort of relationship, then yes, I would definitely welcome a personal email or note letting me know that they're still interested and they've actually done X, Y, and Z to get A, B, C skill. I think that would be a better approach than just applying again, because as you probably know, we get inundated with applications. Mm-hmm. So anything to jog our memories would be really helpful. And then if you can't get in touch with the recruiter, go right to the hiring manager. Tell us in the most condensed way that you can about the hiring process for a developer at your company. Is there a coding challenge? Technical interviews? Just I know it could be, especially on the Google side, it could probably be a very long conversation. So we'll do the super condensed version of it, and we'll run right down the path. So I'll always start with the initial phone screen chat, and then if it progresses from there, you'll come in for a one-on-one with our direct hiring manager for that role. That will be more of a technical interview, and then from that there will be a coding challenge, and then from that probably a meeting again with the hiring manager plus the CTO, and so on and so forth.